They're here! They're here!
Do you know what this means? Do you know what this means? Let's see. Page 140. Clarissa. Madeline, this is it. This is it. Billions of people see Amazon every day. I'm somebody now. Your name in print. Things are going to start happening to me now.
WHO has been assessing this outbreak around the clock, and we're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
When the millennium was quickly coming to a close, Milhouse Rex began to notice the numbers slipping in regards to American Fantasy Home Video. The various magazines he was publishing were still holding strong, however. Milhouse began to think that perhaps he should pursue other outlets to help keep his enterprise going. Milhouse is a very forward-thinking person in spite of all of his faults, and had decided that perhaps he should attempt to enter the, quote, young adult market, unquote. Thus was an industry that was on the cusp of a nuclear explosion in the marketplace, and seeing the writing on the wall, Milhouse spent 8 months and released his first and only young adult novel, My Boyfriend is Dying and Has 6 Months to Live. The curiously titled Bildungsroman has a moderate but short-lived success. However, as soon as he received a cease and desist letter from a rival publishing company claiming that Milhouse's story closely resembled their bestseller, rather than facing a lengthy and costly lawsuit, Milhouse had quietly pulled the novel from the shelves. At first he was bitter regarding the ordeal, but as the years went on, Milhouse took note of how the same publishing houses were suing each other for using the same plot lines. Milhouse was amused by how the industry was cannibalizing itself from the very start and began to collect the various tropes that were being overused by the most successful young adult authors. Milhouse found moderate success with a follow-up book he used to describe his short-lived toe-dipping into the industry. He released it as sort of a, quote, how-to, unquote, book to find success in the young adult field. While others have pointed out similar observations, Milhouse was not facetious when he stated that, quote, 98% of the economy is driven by 14-year-old girls, unquote. He goes on to point out that today's youth are brought up to believe that the world is going to end in some horrific manner soon, and that every decision we make is a life and death one. As a result, today's youth has an almost cult-like obsession with everything they love, consume, and collect. It does not matter whether it is music or politics, he asserts. Milhouse asserted that the youthful paranoid neuroses are much more numerous than that. In fact, they seem to stem from everything around them. Milhouse points that while 20% could immediately be attributed to milquetoast understanding of politics, at least 75% of teenage violence can be ascribed to the influence of pop culture itself. Even the death of a fictional character can have tragic results in the real world, unquote. Exactly where Milhouse gets his statistics from is a mystery, but perhaps there is a kernel of truth in there. Just as there may be a kernel of truth in anything if we were to examine the subject in a certain manner. Quote, worldwide hysteria may be only a chapter or song away, unquote. He concludes that in this way that the cult of personality has lumbered off to fester in a narcissistic stew of self-loathing. Milhouse is by no means a pessimist, but perhaps his dim view of the current crop of young people had led him to title his young adult tutorial, How to Write Shit for Shit People. And while a good portion of the book is dedicated to his rants on politics and pop culture, as seen in the previous passages, he does make several astute observations about today's youth that could be helpful to the aspiring young adult author. For example, Milhouse points out that, quote, young people no longer hold a sense of curiosity, unquote. Milhouse writes in response to what he calls the, quote, Harry Pooper series. An important thing you must keep in mind when writing is to fill the chapters with as many contrivances as possible. Nothing should be simple. When you are writing a scene, ask yourself, quote, can I make a toy from this? Unquote. Milhouse thinks of it this way, quote, if the scene is boring or insignificant, imagine what the scene would look like if it were adapted into a movie. What kind of special effect can go there? Unquote. Milhouse asks, then answering, quote, sometimes a talking hat will do. Youthful minds will confuse this with wonder and whimsy, unquote. Milhouse will go on regarding hormones and relationship goals, such things that youthful consumers will throw their parents' hard-earned money at. Milhouse never quite strikes the match on the subject, but what he's really getting at is branding. Branding is, after all, the language of the child. It's no secret. The entertainment and political industries have known this from the very beginning. Republicans do this. Democrats do that. Rock stars do this. Rap stars do that. It all boils down to the lowest common denominator. In the movie industry, they call it a 4-quadrant. Male, female, young, and old. If you can snag all 4, you have a franchise. And you can peddle remakes and sequels to them in the generations to follow. Bad things. one of the biggest lies that YouTubers tell is, a lot of you have been asking me. It's true. You know, it's like basically sometimes they might get a comment. You know, somebody asks a question, and then suddenly a lot of you have. And so a lot of you have been asking, me, Matt, well, if you watch the first video, you'll see why I'm doing a YouTube channel. And to be honest with you, this is still something that's out of my realm here. But here I am, and this is episode 4. Episode 4 of Low Tide. I wasn't even sure I'd make an episode 1, but here we are. And you know, the thing that, you know, I'm always, you know, so curious about is pop culture, just simply because we all consume pop culture more than anything else out there. And in my view, you know, it is important to look at pop culture, simply because it is sort of, one, it's a statement of where we're at now, and 2, it's a statement of where we're going. We're living in a post-genre world. The things we wear, the things we watch, the things we consume have all been sort of homogenized into this just mass. The closest thing that we have right now is this plague we're facing. And now, you know, like, we're starting to look at things like face masks, almost like the new t-shirts. And in a lot of ways, that's refreshing, because at least it's something new. Yeah, so that's where we're at. And that's where we're at as you know, pop culture is concerned. And a lot of it's our fault. We have in our pockets more wealth and technology than we could have ever dreamed of, you know, 20 years ago. But our curiosity's dead. We're not looking for anything new. We're not seeking anything out. We are absolutely content to allow the media and the gatekeepers to feed us whatever they want to feed us. I don't know, I had a lot more to say about this tonight. I thought, well, maybe this plague will allow something new to emerge. We've all been home, and we've all been consuming new things in a new way. Maybe, you know, Tiger King will be the spark of, you know, a new generation of genres. Maybe we'll enter into a new era. But then again, what's her name? Lil Miquela, an Instagram influencer. God, I hate that word, influencer. Got millions of followers. She was just signed on by a talent agency. Problem is, she doesn't exist. She is a complete CGI creation. You know, so that's where we're at. You know, if you know, our Marvel movies are all, you know, CGI fake trash, then, you know, our influencers and movie stars might as well be too. Anyway, for a little bit of housekeeping, Rude Planet, I'm going to be working on some articles for it this week, so be looking for that in the coming days. I also want to thank you for the small but tremendous response that this YouTube channel has already been getting. There will be some more comic book unboxings in the coming weeks, but I don't necessarily want to do comic book related stuff. The Rude Planet, I tend to do more movie review type stuff, but if you would like to see some rude reviews on this channel, please let me know. If there's anything you'd like to see me talk about, please also. And in the meantime, a lot of us are still stuck at home. Some of us are still going out, but you know, might be good to pick up a book. Might learn something.